In 1975, San Francisco was a city of stark contrast. On one hand, it was a beacon for counterculture, civil rights, and LGBTQ+ liberation. The Castro district had become a haven for gay men, artists, and political activists, and the city was brimming with hope for a more open and inclusive future. Harvey Milk, though not yet elected, was rising as a powerful voice in the community, symbolizing the city's shifting tides. But this newfound visibility came with risks. San Francisco was still struggling with deeply rooted prejudice and police indifference toward marginalized communities, particularly the gay population. Homophobia was widespread, both socially and institutionally. Many crimes against gay men went unsolved, under-investigated, or ignored altogether. The city was also dealing with other challenges: economic tension, racial inequality, and the aftermath of the Vietnam War. Crime rates were high, and trust in law enforcement was low, especially among minority groups. Against this backdrop of social change, cultural rebellion, and systemic neglect, a predator began to emerge. Between 1974 and 1975, a series of murders targeting gay men would quietly unsettle the city. The victims were found in public spaces, parks, and beaches, killed with the same method, yet the media gave the case little attention. The killer left behind no name, but he would come to be known by one: the Doodler. It all began on the early morning of January 27, 1974. At 1:57 a.m., a man was found stabbed to death along Ocean Beach near Aloha Street. He was later identified as 49-year-old Gerald Kavanaugh, a Canadian-born mattress factory worker who had made a quiet life in San Francisco. Kavanaugh, a practicing Catholic, had not come out publicly and had no known local family. His body bore multiple stab wounds to the chest and back, and defensive injuries indicated he had fought for his life. He was found face up and fully clothed. At the time, police labeled him as John Doe No. 7. 5 months passed before another victim turned up. On June 25, 1974, a passerby discovered the body of 27-year-old Joseph J. Stevens near Spreckles Lake in Golden Gate Park. Stevens was a beloved local performer, known for his work as a comedian and female impersonator. He had been at a cabaret the night before, likely one of his last performances. He, too, had been stabbed multiple times, and there were signs of a struggle, drag marks, and a blood pool hidden near some bushes. It was also indicated by his time of death that he had passed just hours before he was found. Police also suspected that Jay was very much alive when they arrived to the park and was murdered there versus being dumped there. Just 2 weeks later, on July 7th, the pattern repeated. A woman walking her dog found the body of 31-year-old Klaus Christmann at Ocean Beach. Christmann, a German immigrant on a visa, was married with children. Police noted he was wearing makeup and had a cigar in his pocket, details that may suggest he was living a closeted life. His murder was especially violent, with over 15 stab wounds, and his throat was slashed multiple times. His injuries were the most severe out of all the victims. For a few months, there were 0 reported killings. That was until the body of Frederick Capin was discovered on May 12, 1975. Capin, a 32-year-old Vietnam veteran and former Navy medical corpsman, had transitioned to working in hospital administration. He was found near Ocean Beach, not far from where the first victim had been located. Capin had been stabbed and dragged before being left just 20 feet from the surf. His military service ultimately helped identify him through fingerprint records. Then in June of 1975, another body surfaced. This time it was Harold Goldberg, a 66-year-old Swedish-American immigrant. His decomposing body was found in a secluded area of Lincoln Park near a golf course. His pants were unzipped and his underwear were missing. The position of his body and surrounding brush suggested that he had been hidden deliberately. While not much is known about Goldberg's personal life, he appeared to be estranged from his family. Though not immediately connected, a sixth victim would eventually be linked to the same killer. On April 27, 1975, 52-year-old Warren Andrews was found clinging to life near Land's End. He had been beaten with a rock and a tree branch, and while he showed no stab wounds, the severity and location of the attack bore similarities to the others. Andrews worked as a lawyer for the U.S. Postal Service and never regained consciousness before dying several weeks later. The victims had different backgrounds: a factory worker, a drag performer, an immigrant family man, a veteran nurse, and a postal attorney. But they shared one thing in common. They were gay men targeted during a time when being openly gay carried enormous risk, both socially and legally. Some victims were out, others were not, and this cultural context likely contributed to the Doodler's evasion of justice. The killer's nickname came from survivors, 3 men who lived through violent encounters with him. Each described meeting a young black man in San Francisco bars or diners who claimed to be an artist and would sketch them before suggesting a more private location. These men, one a well-known entertainer, another a diplomat, refused to testify out of fear of public outing, and thus prosecution stalled. Police developed a composite sketch of the suspect, a slender African-American male in his early 20s, about 6 feet tall, often seen wearing a navy beanie. Though a suspect was brought in and questioned in 1976, no charges were filed, and decades passed with very little movement. In recent years, renewed interest in cold cases and advances in forensic technology have breathed new life into this investigation. In 2018, the San Francisco Police Department reopened the case. DNA from crime scenes was resubmitted for testing, and an age-progressed sketch of the suspect was released. By 2022, police confirmed that Warren Andrews was also considered a likely victim, bringing the known count to 6. Although it is believed that there could be up to 16 or more victims. The reward for information currently stands at up to $250,000. Today, the Doodler case remains as one of San Francisco's most haunting unsolved mysteries. It is a sobering reminder of how bias and fear can allow even a serial killer to slip through the cracks. With modern tools and shifting cultural attitudes, investigators hope that time has not buried the truth forever.